That first sales slump is so scary. Is this me forever now? Like, can I still sell? Like, what's going on?
The first month that I came into this job, nothing but routine. Got a little bit complacent, go from one of the high performers to just bang like that down.
The amount they're celebrating others, these are all warning signs that you'll start to see before the results drop off. You either coach the people that are dragging their feet or exit those people that can't make it happen. Hello everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Community Collective Ask the CEO podcast. My name is Rory Hannigan. I'm one of the owners in the Community Collective group. I run a sales and marketing company on the Gold Coast. And my very special guest that I've invited up with me today is Mr. Aaron Cohens. Say hello, Az.
Lovely to meet you guys. My name's Aaron Cohens.
Yeah, cool. It's going to be fun this afternoon, man. You excited for it?
Oh, very.
Yeah, awesome. So I'll give you guys a little bit of background as to my story and how I got into the industry. If you've seen the Limiting Belief episode with Patrick Cadet that I shot a couple of months ago, you've probably heard this before, but I'll go through it anyway. So I was born in Sydney, grew up on the Gold Coast, studied international relations and business at university as a double degree. Was very broke coming out of university, had left a pretty toxic relationship and had no money, was in debt and didn't really feel great about myself. So I found sales at a really important time in my life and it's done so much for me. From entry level through to now owning my own company, I've learned like a ton along the way and really grown a lot, as well as all the financial opportunities that it's provided to me and all the amazing travel and, friendships and connections and networks that I've been able to grow. I'm a big proponent of what we do and what it can do for people. So, I've invited Az along for a similar reason. Tell us a bit about your backstory, man. What's your family history? Do you have any loved ones or family members that are in sales or any form of sales and marketing? Why did you choose to get into the industry and what's it done for you?
Yeah, big time. So my background is I was born in South Africa, moved over to here when I was about 4 or 5 years old. And I've actually started in a business degree before I came into this. Finished off my finance and entrepreneurship degree, just trying to get somewhere within business and kind of found out, it really just wasn't for me.
Yeah, it's just a piece of paper, unfortunately.
Big time.
Yeah.
Yeah, so once I found out that just wasn't for me, I was like, well, my dad's in sales, my uncle's in sales, my brother's in sales, and they're all killing it, so might as well just give it a go. And from there, it's been my love and passion.
Yeah, your mum runs like a marketing company as well, hey? Yeah, cool. Exciting, man. So what would you say is like the biggest, I guess the most important aspect of growth that you've experienced in the last 6 months since you've started with us? Like if you had to sell the opportunity to someone else who's coming through on their first day, what would you say you've gotten the most out of?
The most I would say I got out of definitely my communication skills. Like I was always a little bit jittery talking with people. I've always been good with it, but nowhere close to like how I am now. And also just the team building and the community you get to be around. You're literally around everybody you want to be around, and the people that are very like-minded. So it's sick. Yeah,
cool, man. No, you're definitely I describe people either as like conductors or lightning rods. And every room that Az steps into always brightens it up. You never see this guy complaining or like being negative or, bringing any of his problems to work. He's a really positive guy. So to give you guys a bit of an intro, the topic that we're going to be talking to you about today is breaking out of sales slumps. I think it's a really important one because sales is a little bit of a roller coaster. You're going to have good days, good weeks, good months, sometimes bad days, sometimes bad weeks, hopefully not bad months because it's a long period of time to be suffering. But it's a natural part of any results-based job. Like the results aren't always going to be up and your ability to manage the lows and get out of them effectively and get back to a window of high performance, I think is a really important skill and something that we're going to deep dive on today. So for you as an overview, why are you excited to talk about that topic today?
To be honest with you, you've seen yourself firsthand. I've gone through my fair share of sales slumps. It's you see your ups and downs throughout the industry, but then how you overcome it, you never change, and your standard literally just becomes higher and higher every single time you go through one. So I'm very excited to be able to talk about something that I've been through myself as well and seeing others go through.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, I've been through, countless personal sales slumps and coached a lot of teams out of, whole office, whole team, or, sometimes even whole multi-team, drops in momentum. So something that I'm really excited to deep dive into today. Before we get into that though, our relationship specifically, I think, has gotten a lot closer over the last couple of months. Yeah. You're at the stage now as a senior trainer where I can give you a lot more responsibility. I can trust you to, run write-outs or, run education boards in our morning meetings and actually teach things to the rest of the team. Although you're new to it, your ability to teach skills to newer guys has really blossomed. And Yeah, I'm really excited for your next 6 months. What do you think your next 6 months in the industry looks like?
My next 6 months is definitely going to be pushing towards to getting to TL right now. So far,
For the guys at home, that's team leader. That's one of like the results-based promotions that you can earn within kind of the network of what we do. Yeah.
big time. And yeah, with the community we have behind us, especially my leader, yourself, like G, like I'm going to be able to push towards it very easily. And I know that in the next 6 months, I want to at least be having 5 more people on my team. So having about a team of 7 to 8 guys. And yeah, just expanding from there, and not only building my own sales skills, but also being able to watch the people around me and the people I train up build their sales skills.
Cool, man. Yeah, so your leadership skills allowing you to actually coach and improve the skills of others. That's cool.
Exactly.
Let's say like fast forward 6 months, your team leader, you're earning an extra however much money. What are some of the exciting things you're going to be able to do with that extra finance? Is there any like trips that you've got coming up that you're excited for, or purchasing a first home, a new car? Like, is there anything you're really keen to do with that money?
Literally, I've got my first home so far. So being able to pay that off and being able to refinance that and try and go for a new one with my parents.
Purchase investment property.
Exactly. Yeah. So being able to get the second house and then go from there with my mum would be awesome. And yeah, just seeing everybody grow from there. Maybe even try and push on to exec from there.
Okay, cool. Yeah, nice. We'll get jumped, I guess, straight into the topic. Az has got a couple of questions that he's going to run me through, and some stuff that we'll start on when it comes to getting out of sales slumps. Where did you want to start, Az? Because you had so many great ideas when we were looking at coming up with how we were going to tackle this topic. Where do you want to kick it off?
The first one would be like what actually causes a sales slump for most people.
Okay. So yeah, what are the factors, or what are the decisions or the habits that will lead to someone getting into a sales slump?
Big time, yeah.
Yeah, I think it's important to look at this because for like the people at home, it's not an overnight thing. It's not like you just snap your fingers and all of a sudden you're struggling with performance. Generally speaking, there's a series of habits and actions and decisions that have led to that period of underperformance. So knowing, how to avoid those habits, what the period leading up to a big slump looks like, and probably how to prevent it is pretty valuable. I'll steal from the playbook of Patrick Cadet. The toxic habits that you have to break at your lowest lows are the same poor decisions that you start to make when you're at your highest highs and you're getting complacent. So whether that's, no longer investing in your education, not working on new skills daily and getting complacent with your rate of learning, not staying competitive, staying a big fish in a small pond. Let's say you might reach, top salesman within your office, but then you stop competing for the whole CCA weekly bulletin. I think it's a mixture of complacency and a little bit of short-sightedness, because all of the actions that allowed you to get to a period of high performance in the first place, we often disconnect those actions from the high performance, and we'll end up thinking that it's us and our personality and us as people that's creating this, this multitude of sales. And very slowly we'll, sleep in that little bit more. We'll stop going to the gym as often. We'll stop having a set, go to bed and set wake up time. Start eating naughty foods, like whatever it might be. There's a lot of different variables, but you slowly introduce poor decision making into your daily routine. And then before you know it, a couple of bad days chain together, and a week or two later, you're kind of scratching your head and asking what happened, when often it's just a series of incrementally poor decisions that you're making along the way. Is that something that you've seen and experienced personally or seen in the office?
Big time, yeah. Even for myself, like I knew when the first month that I came into this job was nothing but routine, coming in, gym every single day, meal prepping, just being the best version of myself. And then I got a little bit complacent and started going out with friends again and not having the best outside of habit works. And then also letting like outside of things like creep into my mind when I come into work. And I watch my sales go from skyrocketing to being one of the high performers to just bang like that down, hitting 0 days where I'm like, I've never done this before. What's going on? And going to seeing that myself, and then instantly putting those steps back into place of getting back into the gym every single morning, meal prepping, networking, planning with people. That's when I've seen my numbers just skyrocket back up. So it's like, you can see the correlation to like what you are doing inside and outside of work.
Yeah. The annoying part as well is once your routines and your habits and your decision making start to falter, your results don't fall off immediately. Like you manage to get maybe a week or 2 weeks or maybe even like close to 3 weeks of decent results once you stop doing all the things that helped you reach your previous high. And you'll be able to maintain those good results for a little while just based on momentum. But then, yeah, one day you get a 0 and it's like, oh my God, what happened? Like, how did that happen?
Yeah.
And then, maybe 2 days in a week, you get a 0 or a 1. And before you know it, a rule broken 3 times becomes a new rule. A month prior, you weren't getting less than 3 sales a day any given day. But because it's taken that 3 weeks to build up, you've stopped making all those right choices. Before you know it, now not hitting your standard, you're doing more often than you're actually hitting your standard. So I think the thing to really be aware of and to take notice of is changes in your own behavior and habits. When you have a really, really strong set routine around what you do before and after work, the amount of networking calls you're making, all these types of habits and decisions, if you notice yourself break one of those habits or routines once, you've got to equate that to, oh shit, like I missed something important today. 3 weeks from now, that's going to be me getting 0 and not able to, make commissions or do the job anymore. So it's being able to not be so short-sighted and actually see that, hey, look, if I've missed something important, the little devil on my shoulder might be saying, oh, it's no big deal, it's just one day. Very soon, 2 to 3 weeks from now, that's going to be me scratching and clawing and, trying to figure out what I'm doing with myself. So yeah, being urgent to jump on underperforming days, I think is really important as well. Not having there's always tomorrow type attitude, being able to dissect and evaluate any day when you haven't gotten the results that you've wanted to and be able to set a plan for the next one.
Big time. Yeah, that's kind of what I've started to realize. And like when you said, like, what would be one of the biggest things that you've learned during, like, since coming to this job would be that kind of thought of, yeah, if I do this one thing, it's never the easy action. It's always the right action that I've got to do. Even if I'm going to miss out on one gym session, then yeah, it's the easy actions that I'm putting that's going to make my long-term progression worse. But if I'm always doing that right action, then my long-term progression is going to go up. It might have a little slump, but it's going to go right back up straight away.
Yeah, if you've got good habits and routines in your life, you're obviously still going to have, slower days, but you're, the old floor of disgust that we talk about, that minimum standard that you accept from yourself, it'll always be at a decent level.
Exactly. Yeah. And that's what I'm trying to get back to how everything is right now. So it's good to just have that complete floor of disgust.
Yeah. I think it's key to note as well that, like, we're all human, and I don't coach any of the guys on my team to be sales robots who, never drink alcohol and, never watch TV or, don't live their life. But I think the key is around living your life, you've still got to show up, right? Like, showing up imperfectly is better than not showing up at all. It's an Alex Hormozy one. If you've got a really strict gym routine where you're always in the gym for an hour every day and, you've got a really strict split and, you don't eat bad food and all these things are rigid, the day that you're not able to do an hour in the gym, you feel like you've missed the gym, which can then become, a series of choices where you're missing the gym more regularly. I'd rather do 25 sit-ups, 25 push-ups, some crunches or whatever in my room than not go to the gym whatsoever. So I think it's really, really key that when you're trying to establish, a set routine and a set of habits that are going to support your performance, showing up imperfectly again is better than not showing up at all. Do you know what I mean?
Of course, yeah. And being able to put in those actions every single day. Like sometimes you don't want to be taking that call once you've come back after work.
Yeah, man.
You've maybe got that 1 or 2 day and you're like, shit, I don't want to be talking to anyone right now. But it's that action of actually putting yourself out there, calling like what we did last night and just making sure to put those steps so you don't go through that tomorrow and even for the next 2 weeks. That's what really pushes you forward.
Yeah, being able to step outside of your feelings in the moment of maybe being frustrated or, feeling like you've let yourself or the team down and know that I might not 100% feel like doing this networking call right now. I might not feel like staying off my phone and staying off social media and having a nice early bed. It might be easier to, wallow in my own misery and, eat some bad food and whatever. But understanding that little devil on your shoulder that's trying to push you towards doing those things, it's only interested in seeing you fail in the long term. So good on you. Az had a little bit of a tougher day yesterday. Even after grinding and trying to make it happen, still picked up the phone and we spent about half an hour on the phone setting a plan. So well done.
Yeah, it was well needed because going straight out today, being able to show my new rep just how salesy, like how easy it actually is.
Yeah, turn it around immediately.
Exactly. And probably wouldn't have happened if I didn't pick up that call and made sure I put in those right actions, not only this morning, but last night. And this pretty much ties into my next question for yourself.
Cool.
What would you do for your 3 actions to be able to get over that sales slump?
Okay, so if you're in a sales slump, what are the 3 most important actions that you'd have to take? I suppose I'll go into it. I'll give you 3 macro areas that you want to focus on and then give you a little bit of context for each of them, right?
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
So the first thing that you want to do whenever you're in a sales slump is just refuse to head scratch and go, oh, I don't know what's going on. I don't know are the 3 most toxic words in what we do. because when you say that you don't know why something is happening or what's caused something, you are robbing yourself of agency, of power over that thing. So the key is you have to know. You have to figure out, what have I been doing? What have I done that's caused me to end up in this position? So it's an honest evaluation. Like there's a thing called a SWOT analysis. Have you heard of this before?
I've heard the terminology, but not deeply.
So when you're evaluating why you're in the position you're in, you want to identify, based on where you are at right now, 4 things: your strengths, your weaknesses, what opportunities lay in front of you, and what threatens your ability to achieve that success. So, and this isn't a macro like, oh, I'm great at sales. It's like, what are my strengths right now? What are the things that I'm doing well right now in this last month, let's say? In terms of weaknesses, what are the actions, habits, mental tracks, whatever that I'm doing that's costing me success, right? So clearly identifying what you're doing well, clearly identifying what your weak points are. And then opportunities and threats is designed to remind you that, there is a lot of stuff in front of you that you want to achieve. As you said, purchasing investment property, gaining top level leadership skills. You identify all of the immediate opportunities in front of you, and then threats, whether it's family health, burnout, like all the things that could threaten your success. You want to evaluate the position that you're currently in and figure out, X marks the spot, why I am where I am. So step 1 is evaluation. Figure out what's led me to where I am and where I'm at right now. Step 2 is a pretty simple one, is control the variables, right? When I'm coaching someone through a bit of a sales slump, the only things that I want to talk to them about are the field: pitch, pace, attitude, skills, 3 times closing, personality profiling, like all of the skill related stuff. You want to remove any variable that's not related to sales. So make sure that your sleep's dialed in. Make sure that your nutrition is on point. Make sure that you're not distracted. Make sure you're not spending too much time on social media, on apps that might, rob you of your dopamine or get you focusing on the wrong things. Probably a bit graphic, but stay away from like sexually explicit material. Stay away from, the news and stuff that's going to neg you out and poison your mind. Really what I want all the guys focusing on is removing anything from their life that could affect their results that's not the field. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Make sure you evaluate where you're at, control the variables, make sure that the only thing that affects your results is things that you can control. And then the third is set a plan. So if you're in a sales slump, in most situations, there's someone above you who's been through what you're going through, right? Either your direct leader, your team leader, your executive manager, the owner in your office. We've all been through what you're going through 50 million fucking times before, pardon my language. Sit down with one of us and actually set a really simple, structured 4-week plan to get yourself back on track, right? Maybe start with your KPIs. Just commit to a week of hitting 75 contacts, 25 full pitches every day. From there, move on to sales skills. Have an actual skill plan based on that period of time, the next 3 to 4 weeks. And then you want to set small but achievable goals along the way. If you're in the middle of a deep slump and you're used to getting 5, 6, or 7, get that previous high out of your head for a second and just focus on what's in front of you, right? For the next week, I'm going to focus on getting at least 1 sale every single day, right? And then you can increase that standard to, all right, I'm going to get at least 1 every day this week, but I'm going to commit to 2 sales 3 of the 5 days. And then that way you can actually give yourself little wins to celebrate along the way. And you don't feel like you're trying to like immediately climb this giant cliff face back to where you were. You're on a gradual incline back into a period of momentum.
Big time.
Right? A 7-step success cycle plan, basically what we've done before.
Yeah, the 7-step has worked like wonders for most people. And then you see by like the second, third day that they end up in 5 or 6 and
yeah, it's so annoying, man. I'll set a like an incremental momentum plan for someone like, cool, man, we're just going to get 1 today, 1 tomorrow, 2 Tuesday, 2 Wednesday, 2 Thursday, and then they go 1, 2, 2, 5, 5, 5, and then they're back to where they need to be. Like quite often you do need the proper ramp up week or 2 where you're just slowly increasing your results. But for a lot of guys, all they needed to do was remove the pressure that they've been putting on themselves, focus on nailing basic skills and hitting their KPIs, and then all of a sudden they're making sales again.
Exactly, and that's what I saw when I hit my slump is, that day that you ended up actually coming out to field with me. We spent probably, an hour and a half together. And then went off, you're like, okay, just go get 1 more sale for the day. You'll be right. Got 1 more sale. And then you're like, okay, tomorrow's going to get 2. We end up getting 5 or 6.
Yeah,
and then
I think
we're chilling. And from there, it's just, it's been good. So when you are going through those sales slumps, it's the big thing is that, that pressure that you're talking about.
The key things that you got to do, especially because normally when people are going through like a bit of a sales slump, it's in contrast to the fact they've had a high, right? And they see themselves as a top performer. They see themselves as someone who can, hire all the office or do really well. And then to have to go back down to the bottom of the mountain, even temporarily, just to rebuild their momentum. Sometimes their ego gets in the way a little bit, and they'll be comparing themselves to someone else that's currently going through, a new high. It's just, you just got to actively remove the expectations and the high standards that you've previously held for yourself and focus on the simple steps in front of you, right? Because if your head is in a place where you're comparing yourself to the guys who are getting 5, 6, or 7 sales in a day, or, even a version of yourself a couple of weeks ago that was doing that, that's only going to lead to a place of like shame and guilt around your own results. The key is to, again, evaluate why you've ended up where you were, right? Control all of the variables that aren't related to the field, right? And then follow a simple plan where you rebuild your momentum. And when you're hitting those key metrics at each point, maybe it's your KPIs, maybe it's, a low amount of sales that you're increasing a little bit every day. You have to force yourself to feel good about hitting those milestones and hitting those key points.
Exactly.
Because otherwise you're going to be stuck, in a place of low self-worth, comparing yourself to either yourself previously or someone else on the team.
Exactly. And that's the best part about this job is when you're just putting it on those KPIs, you can always see what you are doing wrong because it always shows you what you're doing wrong. So it's just fundamentally like once you start looking at it properly with like someone like yourself, the owners or your leader, you're like, oh shit, this is actually properly going on. Let's put a KPI focus for this. And once you start doing that again, you're like, oh, it really was that easy.
Sales is such a stupid game because the more you focus on making sales, the less sales you make because like there's literally a part of your brain that's responsible for determining ulterior motives in other people. And if you've got sales in your brain, customers are going to look at you going, this guy really wants me to buy this thing. I don't know. So you've got to you kind of have to, it's a real tough balance where you've got to brainwash yourself to not focus on making sales and doing the things that lead customers to want to buy. And then if you can do that consistently, especially with your approach, eventually people start buying again. But yeah, it's so crazy. Like I'll go out with an experienced guy. He's like, fuck man, I'm doing everything. No one wants to sign up. No one wants to buy anything. I'm trying my best. And then I'll go and maybe like listen to a presentation with them and a customer, or I'll sit in and pretend to be a newbie while they're presenting to a customer. And I can just see this look in their eyes where they're like, yeah, so how it works. And it's like, oh, you're scaring me, man. And you're not even looking at me. You're looking at the customer. So yeah, it's being able to maintain that input focus, focusing on all of the actions and skills that make sales rather than making sales, which again goes back to not comparing yourself to other people, not comparing yourself to your previous high. Just look at the initial steps that are in front of you.
100%. And it's always scary, like how they can actually feel that energy coming off from you.
Yeah.
It's just a whole entire game of like feeling the energy from the other person. Like, holy shit, what's going on here?
Yep.
Yeah.
And you'll be nailing everything until you actually get to the close. And then your eyebrows just go up a little bit when you've got this commission breath, this output focus where you really want to make a sale. It's like, so yeah, well, we just need your credit card. Like it's so annoying. So it's a mental game and an ability to follow a plan.
Big time, yeah.
There's a couple of examples around the country of people who always seem to maintain high performance, but I think it's just about your scope of what you consider underperformance. Like someone like Martin Henry, for example, right? The guy's an absolute weapon. He's an animal. One of the most dialed in people that I know in terms of his habits and routines. I think that's something that really supports him well. But Martin's idea of a sales slump is someone else's good week. Do you know what I mean? Like if he can chain a couple of weeks together that are maybe 60% or 70% of what he normally would produce in his head, because he's been able to maintain high standards for so long, to him, that's like, oh, I'm kind of, for want of a better word, shitting the bed. I'm not reaching what I'm capable of. Someone would still look at his week and go, oh, wow, he's killing it. Do you know what I mean? So I think the key with like maintaining like periods of high momentum for top performers is them living in that period of high performance long enough that what would otherwise be an okay week for someone else becomes their bad week. I think another thing to realize is that top performers always need the next thing to chase. Generally, the type of people who are at the top of the ladder are quite competitive. They're quite goal driven. They do have a little bit of ego, whether it's healthy or unhealthy. So always being able to point them at the next competition or the next thing to conquer is a good way to stop them from falling off. Because if they get bored or feel like they're doing the same thing over and over again, they do tend to fall off a little bit. What's your perspective on it, Aaron? Because you've seen a couple of guys kill it for ages and then drop off. How do you see it?
I kind of just see it as like, just a loss of ego towards a lot of these people. Like they've built up such a big team, and then out of nowhere it can all just go like that pretty much, which is the worst part for someone. But it's your actions after that's happened that really define how they are as a person.
Yeah.
So
good
like,
point.
yeah, for example, like my leader G, his actions afterwards, like once he bounced back onto it, we were back up, just going further and further. And you can really see his inside and outside of habits actually going further from it. And just the way you carry yourself after you've gone through those kind of systems, it can be hard.
Well, I think a fall off's kind of necessary as well, no matter how good you are at sales, because it's character building, right? If all you ever do is succeed, once the stakes are high enough, like if you can imagine that you made it all the way to owner, right, without ever having gone through a really big downswing, right? Once you've got 15, 20 guys on your team and the team inevitably goes through a downswing, how are you going to coach them? You've never gone through it personally. You've never had to overcome it. Do you know what I mean? So like, I don't recommend going through long periods of underperformance. It hasn't happened to me a lot, but I have definitely gone through big downswings. But I think they're important, whether it's on the individual level, the team level, or the office level, because it becomes a story as well, being able to rally around either a person or a team that has been doing it tough and then starts reaching a new high. Everyone loves that shit. Like, everyone loves seeing that sort of stuff, and underdog stories, you know what I mean? So,
and you've got that kind of block there for yourself that you've had there the whole entire time. Like, because you've hit that before, your new floor of disgust is way higher.
Yeah. And I think that's why that first sales slump is so scary, because you haven't experienced it and you're like, is this me forever now? Like, can I still sell? Like, what's going on? And then, you know, with the coaching and, you know, the decision-making changes that you know, a good owner or a good leader will coach you through, you come out of that sales slump, you start performing again, you realize like, oh, okay, I don't want to end up back there, but I know that if I do, I know how to make it out next time. I've got a working system that allows me to get back to where I need to if I eventually fall off again.
Yeah, of course. That kind of goes into my next question, into like asking what would happen to someone if they kept going through that sales slump and just literally didn't put those steps in place for themselves.
Oh, what if someone like repeatedly ends up at the bottom of the pile? So they you know, start performing again, and then quite quickly they go through a slump again, and they make it up again, and then quite quickly they fall through a slump again. It's pretty dangerous, because like a rule broken 3 times becomes the new rule, right? But like a period or an era within our job repeated a couple of times also can become your identity, right? You can become the guy that can't maintain his results, and that can be self-enforcing. You know, you can start to see yourself as someone that can never maintain periods of high performance for longer. Pardon me. Someone that can never maintain periods of high performance for longer than like a week or two. So I think like the ability to like break out of a sales slump is very important and really character building, but you don't want to be someone that has to do that super regularly, because number one, you won't, like if you want to build a team, if you're a leader who every 2 weeks is falling off, you're not going to keep your reps very long. Do you know what I mean? You're probably going to end up on demotion criteria for your promotions pretty regularly as well. You're in this place of like scarcity and abundance so regularly that there's no baseline for you. So it can be a really anxious place to be. So I think the warning would be, once you break out of a sales slump and you reach a period of high performance, you need to be really urgent in jumping on slow days and staying on track and staying with the plan. Because if you just go straight back into a slump again, as I mentioned, you can end up in a really anxious place where you're not sure what the next week's going to look like. You lack certainty towards your goals.
Big time. And you can even see like the lack of money comes into play with it.
Yeah, your commissions are inconsistent, dude. Like, it's impossible to like plan for your finances, and you know the money that you were counting on to make for commissions isn't there. And then your holiday plans might fall apart, or your home purchase plans might start to get set back by 6 months. So
big time.
It's not a good place to be constantly ping ponging between high performance and low performance.
Yeah, because then you just see like your commissions are just shot to the roof. Because 1 week you're just like, oh yeah, I'm like perfectly, I'm killing it. I've made this much money, and then the next week you're on base salary and you're like, oh shit, I can barely pay rent this week.
Oh, and I guess for the viewers at home and stuff, like we pay all of our guys a base salary. They're all full-time employees, so we pay base plus commissions. Obviously gives you the security to know that if you have a slump week, you know, you're still going to get paid. But obviously with deficits, you've got to pay back those slow weeks as well. So you can end up going on a road trip and getting your belief back and getting your momentum back, and you're on top of the world. But then, you've got to repay your commission debt from when you cost the company money from the week earlier. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. So it makes the wins not feel as amazing when it comes to the financial side of things as well. So I'd rather someone have a baseline where they're, breaking even or just above 60% of the time, and then high performing 40 rather than 50-50 top of the world, bottom of the food chain, because it's impossible to create any sort of certainty towards yourself, your finances, and your actual journey within the job.
Yeah.
So
that's why I think this industry does it perfectly, because of the promotion criteria. Even to hit JT, you've got to be consistent over a month. But then when you're pushing for SD, you have to be consistent every single week for 4 weeks in a row. Otherwise, you're restarting everything. So you need to learn that consistency, that your mental habits, everything inside and outside of work, are going to determine how you do for the next 4 weeks, if you're going to be able to get this promotion or not.
Yeah. Oh, no, it's no secret. Like, the consistency that you've got around your habits and your choices directly reflects the consistency in your results. Like, I don't think that's something that anyone's watching hasn't heard before. But if you're if you're wanting to avoid those full big spiky periods of high and low, the first place you should really look is your outside of work habits. So
Yeah, exactly. That would probably move on.
Do you want to go rapid fire? Yeah, here we go. Okay.
So guys, we're going to take a quick break and we're going to get into our segment Rapid Fire. I'll be asking Rory's direct Aaron a series of questions. These questions will range from multiple choice to long-winded. If you could just give me your answers as quickly as possible and we'll get started. Are you ready?
Sounds good. I'll try my best.
What's a must-read sales book?
Ooh, for me, Split the Difference. That one's taught me a lot.
What's more important, confidence or competence?
Confidence.
What's one habit every top performer has?
Outside of routines, habits, so like gym.
What's the fastest way to lose credibility as a leader?
Not sticking to your word.
What's harder, recruiting people or keeping them?
Keeping them.
What's one thing you wish you knew at 18?
About this job, to be honest.
What's one trait you look for in your future leaders?
Outgoing, but also can take a hit and rise back up from it.
What's a piece of sales advice that you completely disagree with?
Ooh, completely disagree with. I don't know, to be honest.
Which is more dangerous, arrogance or insecurity?
Arrogance, I reckon.
Great, that's you done.
Sweet.
That was a difficult one, the piece of sales advice. Could you think of one for that one, Rory?
Yeah, I'd say a piece of sales advice that I completely reject is sales is just a numbers game. I think that if you've got an ineffective approach and you're repeating that over and over and over again, you're going to get ineffective results. So look at the approach first, then apply that to the numbers.
Perfect. Something that we have kind of touched on before, like the fly on the wall moment of like, if you were to look at a top performing salesperson when they're in their all lows compared to at their highs, like what would be the difference?
What are the key differences? So this is assuming that someone is a top performer and we're just looking at like, what's the difference between a low performing week and a high performing week for that person in a vacuum? Okay. Well, I'd like to say that I've been a high performer myself at various times. So I'll use myself as an example. When I was selling full time and I was underperforming, it was usually because I didn't have a really clear goal or reason to be out there. Like I'd always have my long-term why, like wanting to help my family and, build an office and all the rest of it. But I didn't have an immediate challenge in front of me. I didn't have a new PB that I was trying to conquer. I wasn't setting myself little micro challenges like, okay, cool. I want to get 4 sales by lunch today. I haven't done that in ages. Like I wasn't challenging myself and giving myself dynamic things to focus on and chase. Generally speaking, because of like, it's not something that I allow to be a crutch, but I do have ADHD. So getting distracted is a massive one for me. So if I allow the habit of like, I like anime, I'm not afraid to say it. I'm not like a weeaboo or anything. Yeah. I'm not, kawaii, but I like anime. So if I'm watching too much anime, video games, if I'm playing like a fuck ton of video games, I know that that's distracting me. If I'm allowing substances into my life that I shouldn't be, that, make me a bit slower and make me a bit dumber. Generally my low performance periods, it's because I'll chain a couple of poor days together, and then rather than actually address the issue head on and network and set a plan and start leaning back into my habits, I'll try and numb the pain or distract myself. So that would be my low performing weeks. And then my best performing weeks have been, when I've got a really clear goal or reason to high perform that week. I'm pretty competitive. So like having one person that I want to beat on the bulletin that week, or maybe there's a road trip coming up and there's one person that's been talking a bit of shit that I really want to put in the dirt. The extra layer to that is if my team needs to see high performance. Like if I've been running a team and selling, and I've needed to really turn it on, I have been able to turn it on, it's because I want to set the right example for the people around me. And I take the responsibility of their future seriously and know that if I can high perform, that's going to create a certain level of belief for them, so that then it becomes my duty to high perform that day. Do you know what I mean? It's not just for me or the money or the clients. It's for the guys who are under me that have trusted me and are following me. They need to see me at my best.
Yeah, 100%.
So yeah, distracted and, kind of wallowing in my own self-pity and feeling like a piece of shit, to having multiple different levers to pull in terms of like leverage and drive and momentum and goals.
So you'd mainly just say focusing on those micro goals between people, and then just giving you that extra why, whether it's competition, your goals outside of life, and also just your goals inside of the job. Those would be the biggest factors for yourself.
And I think being able to, like, when I'm at my best, I'm not thinking about how I feel or what's going on around me. I'm just leaning into duty and responsibility. I have a duty to my future family to do my absolute best so that my kids can go to a good school, their dad can have a nice car, they can go on nice holidays, their dad can have freedom of time and be able to come to all their sporting events and all that sort of stuff. Like, I've got a duty to my future family to do as well as I possibly can to increase my chances of giving them a great life. I've got a duty to the people around me to set a good example and to show them that sales is easy so that they can believe sales is easy. I've got a duty to our clients to deliver really good sales to them so that they can actually, run the programs or the products or the services that they need to run, right? I'm not thinking about how I feel, what's going on in my life, what's going wrong. I'm almost out of the picture when I'm at my best. I'm thinking about what I can do for everybody else around me. So that's me personally, but I've also seen a lot of top performers, they tend to, when they're going through a sales slump, and I've been victim to this as well, is kind of ruminate, right? Do you know what rumination is? It's like an unhealthy obsession with how you're feeling, and look, I'm not discounting mental health by any means. I've had a lot of really close friends go through some serious bouts of depression. But when you're locking yourself away in your dungeon and you're not getting very good sleep, and then you're coupling that with binge eating and a lot of distraction, a lot of things that are going to steal your dopamine, you're not improving your chances of feeling better. And you probably have an unhealthy amount of time that you're spending focusing on how you're feeling rather than what you need to do in front of you. So not to offend anyone out there that's going through that sort of stuff, but yeah, my recommendation would be stop focusing on how you're feeling and start focusing on what you can do for the people around you.
Most definitely. And my kind of thoughts of it would be like, when you do get to that top level and you do have your kids at that point going, oh yeah, look, this is my dad. You're not going to be thinking of all those hardships back in the past that you did go through. It's going to be like, yeah, I pushed through this and now I'm at this point to be able to get to this kind of level.
Yeah. I think being able to, like, when you're in a bit of a slump and you're at a low, having the narrative in your head of this is going to make a kick-ass fucking story when I get on stage at the end of the year, when I go up there and accept an award for, team leader, executive manager, biggest turnaround, rookie of the year, whatever award it is that you're going to win. If you're coming into it thinking, yeah, I'm no matter what, I'm still going to get up there on stage and achieve that thing that I want to achieve, and I'm going to get that award, but it's going to make my acceptance speech that little bit more spicy and interesting because everyone loves a comeback story. I think if you can look at it that way rather than wallowing and, feeling sad about the fact that you're not doing so well, look at it as an exciting thing to overcome and part of your story and your journey.
Big time. That would actually probably go on to my next one, which would be, as an owner, what are the signs and metrics that you look at specifically about someone who's about to go into a sales slump?
Cool. Okay. So yeah, as an owner, what are the signs that I look for that signify someone might be about to enter a slump?
Yeah.
As an owner, you got to be pretty perceptive. So for me, a lot of it will be before the results reflected. It's like, how are they showing up to the office, right? Are they coming in with the same energy they normally do? Are they calling in sick a little more regularly than they would? KPIs, like their non-sale numbers, will sometimes reflect before the sales do. Because a top performer can, not the right thing to do by any means, but can push through some bullshit sales when they've still got a certain level of confidence. But if they're getting way less contacts and way less pitches than usual, that's normally a sign that, okay, they might be about to enter a sales slump. So the energy they're bringing to the day, the amount they're posting in the group chat, the amount they're celebrating others, their general level of excitement. These are all warning signs that you'll start to see before the results drop off.
Yeah, 100%. So you're just able to look at every single metric that is going on within their life and just slowly pick up on the little things.
I don't have like a secret spy camera in the house or anything. Like, it'd be a bit creepy, but no, once you get to know someone enough, like we've worked together 6 months, if you had a drastic change in energy levels coming into the office, I'd notice it. And like, I have pulled you aside at various points and gone, hey, dude, you okay? Like, is everything all right at the moment? I'm just feeling like things might be a little bit off. Your ability as an owner to urgently jump on changes in people's baseline behavior is going to determine how quickly you can prevent them from going through a sales slump. So, like, people are always going to go through shit and, you know, have good days and bad days. But when you see a repeated change in behavior that's different from someone's baseline and it's a negative change, it's my duty and responsibility to make sure that, you know, there's not something that I can do to help you. You know what I mean?
Most definitely.
So just being perceptive as an owner, paying attention.
Just being present, like what you are at the doors, but with the people in front of you.
Yeah, and not like optimism is also an antonym for laziness, because it's like, oh, I was just optimistic. I just thought he was going to turn. I didn't really think it was a bigger deal. It's like, no, it just required more effort and attention, so you didn't do it. Like, being perceptive and jumping on that stuff doesn't make you a pessimist and doesn't mean you're focusing on the negatives. It means that, yeah, you're able to jump on things quickly to prevent bad things from happening.
100%. And if you were to think about like on a team scaled wide, like if what would be the roadmap if you were seeing a whole entire team start going onto a slump, what would you do to go from there?
Ooh, spicy. Yeah. There's no fun as an owner because as a seller or running a team, there's just a certain level of pride in your results. You're like, oh, I'm not doing as good as I could. As an owner, bad weeks and bad months can get very, very expensive because we do pay you guys a base wage, obviously. So there is an extra layer of like financial incentive to help turn things around quickly. But yeah, I think the key is you've got to actually address the elephant in the room. Like when everyone's doing poor for an extended period of time, let's say, you know, longer than a couple of days in a row, it's pretty important that you get everyone together and acknowledge it. It's like, hey guys, we're not performing to our current level of capability. Let's, again, go back to, it's essentially the same plan that I'd set for an individual. Evaluate, control the variables, right? And then make sure there's a clear plan to follow. So you've got to make sure that everyone's individually following those 3 steps. And then as an office, you're doing that as well. It's like, you know, what is the plan for the office? What are the metrics that we need to hit? And celebrate each win along the way is really key. Yeah. Right. And then, yeah, if the majority of the team is moving to one side of the fence back into a period of momentum, then you either coach the people that are dragging their feet, or unfortunately, if it's affecting the whole team's momentum, you've got to exit those people that can't make it happen.
Yeah. So that's what we've kind of seen when you and Barrett started implementing that Benham's ladder into the company, which has been, it's been sick.
Yeah, and I think everyone loves the idea of a story to get around. So it's my job as an owner and as a coach to say to everyone collectively, hey, look, it feels shit where we are right now. Just weeks ago, how good did the job feel? Same job. We're literally doing the same sales with the same products every day. But how different does the job feel right now to where we were a couple of weeks ago? Does everyone want to get back there? Okay, cool. Here's why we're in the position we're in. Here's what we need to do. And here's the steps we need to celebrate and make a big deal of as a team along the way. Are you all in for that, right?
Yeah.
And then you got to paint the picture. What's it going to feel like, 6 months from now when we can double in headcount and double in results? What's it going to feel like when, we've got multiple new team leader promotions in the team? What's the energy in the room going to be like when all these things are happening? Are we going to be able to get there without some hardship? Fuck no. Like, we have to be able to push through periods like this as a team, or we're never going to get to where we actually want to go. No one gets to nothing worth doing is easy. No. All right. If it was easy, everyone would do it. But it's going to feel all the better knowing that we had to go through something collectively together. We had to struggle together to get out of this current period of low momentum. The high is going to feel even higher.
Big time. And I think that's like how we're seeing with Greenstone, I would say about right now. Like, I would say they were struggling for a little bit there, but now they're probably one of the best teams in CCA, absolutely killing it. So it got to get a lot of respect to those boys for it. Yeah,
things change rapidly when you're doing the right things. And when everyone's aligned and pushing in the same direction, things can change really, really quickly.
Exactly. And for someone like myself who wants to run a big team and has the idea of like having about 7-8 people in my team going in like the next year or two, what would be the best way, like steps you would coach someone to make sure to never go through that again?
Yeah, well, same as I just mentioned. It's just making sure that everyone is aligned and pushing in the right direction. Everyone's controlling the variables and everyone's habits are locked in. And yeah, just making sure that if there's anyone in your team you can rely on to help push the fucking bus uphill, you got to make it really, really worth their while to do it. If you've got a guy on your team that's one of the only people that has been performing, go and have a chat to the guys like, hey, look, man, I know everyone else is like dragging their feet right now. I need you to keep pushing for the next 6 weeks. If you can do X, Y, Z, you and me are going to go away for a nice, weekend away somewhere, or I'll give you X, Y, Z incentive to make it happen.
Yeah.
But so you gotta rely on and push the people in your team that can help you drive that bus. Either get everyone pushing in the right direction or exit the people that are holding you back.
Yeah, 100%. So either giving like a big incentive to be able to push for, or just being like
something exciting as a team, man. Like, hey guys, we're not going to put that pressure on ourselves immediately, but in a month, we're going to do X amount of sales 2 weeks in a row. When we do that, I'm going to take everyone paintballing, or I'm going to take everyone for a fancy Wagyu dinner, whatever it might be. Something that everyone can picture and envision and push for together. Makes the team, the collective struggle a little bit worth it.
Exactly, and that's what we're kind of seeing within our company right now within paintball. Like everybody's trying to hit at least 150 sales within the week to be able to get into that paintball, and it's a big thing for us leaders to be able to be pushing.
You got to have something to push for, man. Something exciting to do together as a group. And like important question, man, because when you've never run a big team before, the idea of all like 7 or 8 people, including yourself, all doing shit at the same time is intimidating, right?
Big time.
But yeah, you just got to understand the real strength that we've got at CCA is the network. You're going to have anywhere between 5 to 20 different senior leaders that have done exactly what you might need to do in turning a team's results around. So the other thing is don't suffer alone. We're not all on an island, office to office. Get out of your 4 walls, speak to people with experience, leverage the experience of the people around you. Is the tip I would give you.
100%, and I'm starting to more like fall into that category with it because someone for myself being more of like a dominant personality, I've never liked to have to reach out to someone or have to go have like a support network. But then realizing, well, shit, it's just stupid if you don't do that.
It just doesn't make any sense, man.
Exactly.
It's like, it's not an admission of like guilt or like, an admission of low like worth or anything like that. I just look at it like this. You could struggle and butt your head against the wall and fail and eventually solve that problem and probably lose half your team along the way. Or you could just have a couple of 20-minute conversations with people that have done that, figured out what works, and just steal what works from them. Do you know what I mean? It's being resourceful is about energy conservation. You don't have to throw yourself against the problem over and over and over again to figure out what's working. Just talk to the guys that already did that. Do you know what I mean?
Big time. Yeah. And it's like what we say, it's literally a definition of insanity.
Doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result.
Yeah. And if you just keep doing that, then you're just stupid at that point, to be honest with you.
Yeah, bang on.
So yeah, being able to go push past that point and actually give those networks to those people. And then even like in this industry, being able to see it's a give and take with that, it's awesome, pretty much.
Yeah, cool.
Okay, guys, we're going to get into our final segment of the day, and that is called What's the Call? So I'm going to give you a real world scenario in the sales industry, and you're just going to have to give me your best attempt at answering this tricky question. What's your call? So your scenario is as follows. You've got one of the strongest reps in the office. For the last 18 months, they've consistently been on top of the leaderboard. Recently, though, things have changed. They're still producing sales, they're still showing up, but you can tell that they're exhausted. One day they sit down with you and they say, I'm thinking about taking 3 months off. I just need a break. The problem is they're not just another rep. They're a culture driver, new reps look up to them, and they've just started new hires. Their results do also help carry the office. If they leave, production will drop, morale will take a hit, and momentum will inevitably slow. If you convince them to stay, though, you risk pushing them further towards burnout, and they may end up leaving permanently. What's the goal?
Cool. I'm actually interested to hear Aaron's take on this one, firstly, because I've been in this situation before, and I've got a pretty clear idea of what I would do as. What do you think you'd do in that situation? Burned out, top producer, still producing, still really important to the team, come to you and say, hey, bro, I need some time off.
I would agree with him, but I wouldn't say something as dramatic as 3 months. Like I would negotiate with them to most definitely have that time off, because the more you kind of push yourself, their sales are going to drop anyway. But I would negotiate with them going like, hey, if you really need some time off, like you've been doing this much for the company, let's go send you off on a paid trip to be able to go actually recover yourself. Maybe 2 weeks to a month. Go actually have some time off and come back refreshed, ready to just kick ass from there. I think that's probably what I would go for.
Yeah, cool. I actually don't disagree, to be honest. I think that's a pretty good answer. I think 3 months is definitely like that's a knee-jerk reaction to feeling like you just need to sleep in and lay in the sun and drink pina coladas for the next 3 months to have some level of happiness again. But like, I don't know, Barrett will laugh at this when he hears this, right? But I've gone on some really long holidays during my time in sales, which is just a reflection of how good our leaders are. Like I've been able to go away for 5-6 weeks at a time. But I'm not going to lie, like 3.5, 4 weeks in, I'm getting bored, man. Like there's only so many, new pasta dishes you can try. There's only so many new beaches you can lie on and so many pina coladas you can sip before it starts to get a bit monotonous. If there's someone who's a real culture creator and results producer, I'd say it's probably going to be similar for them. After about that 10, 11, or 12 day mark, the novelty of being on holiday kind of wears off and then it just becomes another set of routines. Exactly. So what I would probably negotiate with them, first of all, I'd say I wouldn't make them feel any guilt for coming to me and having that conversation. I want to try and foster an environment where all my guys can come and talk to me and tell me what they're actually feeling and what they're going through. So I would thank him for being, or her for being honest with me and say like, yeah, look, I appreciate your vulnerability. When was your last holiday? When was the last time you took time off? And they'll think and go, oh, I can't really think of it. I'm like, well, that's a problem, right? Number one, we need to be scheduling in and organizing some exciting time off for you more regularly. My recommendation is every 4 months, you should have about a week off work. But what we're going to do, because you've been so incredible in the last couple of years, rather than you just lose your entire team, because if you go away for 3 months, bro, there's not going to be a team for you to come back to. I think that's the reality that you got to face. All the work you've put in for the last 18 months to build this incredible team, it's going to be gone, man. Like, I feel like that is the wrong decision to make. What I'll do is I'm going to take the reins of your team for the next 14 days, right? So for the next 14 days, I'm going to do all their one-on-ones. I'm going to do all their breakdowns. I'm going to make sure that your new trains get trained correctly. I'm going to make sure they've got goals to push for. I'm going to take over, right? What I need you to do in the next 14 days is get your head right. Go, look, I think offering him some sort of split on a holiday to like Bali or something like that would be cool. So look, I'll get your flights to and from Bali. I'll get a portion of your accommodation. Your job is to rest, relax, and not think about work whatsoever for the next 14 days, right? You're going to come back. We're going to sit down and we're going to set a plan to manage your energy levels better because you are too talented. You've got too much in front of you and you've worked too hard to throw this all away just because you're running out of energy and stuff to give. Take that next 2 weeks and let's come back and set a new plan. And then from there, I would just, every 3 to 4 months, make sure they're taking a week off to go and do something cool.
Yeah, 100%. I could, 100% agree with that because I think throughout the whole entire time I've worked here, I've had a full 1 week off, probably. And 3 days into it, I was wanting to shoot someone.
Yeah.
Like you generally get to that point where you're like...
Yeah, the type of person that gets attracted to what we do doesn't really want to lay in bed and scroll and play video games all day anyway. So
exactly.
I find that, 8 to 12 days of proper rest and relaxation, not thinking about work. By the 9th or 10th day, you're like, all right, I'm ready to come back. Well, as unfortunately that brings us to the end of our time here on the podcast. I've really enjoyed the conversation that we've had here today, man. Have you enjoyed it?
Yeah, it's been a blast.
Awesome. What would you say your biggest takeaway from the conversation is?
To be honest with you, it's something that I already knew is literally just your habits inside and outside of work always reflect who you are as coming into work, but it also reflects your whole entire team. So as long as you are putting in those right efforts, so will your team. Yeah,
cool, man. And I'd say, the biggest takeaway that I've had sitting here and chatting with you is just reminding myself that, it's my job to show up at 100% for all of my guys at all times. Hopefully this isn't the last time that we're going to have one of these conversations because I think it's been awesome.
Yeah, same.
To round things off, man, is there anything that you would like to say to the camera in terms of commitments? Like, I will do this by this date or anything that you want to make as a statement?
I will hit TL in the next 6 months. You can mark my words and you will see me on top of the CCA bulletin with a team pushing for TL.
Cool. All right. Love to hear it, brother. Shout out to you guys for tuning in and listening and looking forward to the next one. Thank you so much.